tuned in high in the sky to 109, the S.A.M. Welcome to the experience. What up, everybody? We got a little bit of an issue to talk about immediately. We had a little bit of Max Keeble's big accident last weekend, which would have been the weekend of, I don't know. I don't even know what day it is. But I caused a major accident. We almost lost all of episode 4 of the podcast because I fat fingered it and Sam almost gave me a heart attack. So maybe we should explain the process of how we actually do these podcasts to actually understand the story. What we do is each of us records our audio and then we kind of mash them together, but we throw them onto a Google Drive. But I have this bad habit of wanting my Google Drive as clean as possible. And whenever I delete something, I immediately go into the trash bin and delete it for there permanently. And we had almost a full drive, so I figured, hey, we were already editing the 3rd episode. We had the 4th episode all ready to get edited together. And I said, AJ, do we need the 3rd episode files anymore? I can delete it. Of course, AJ, what did you say to me? I think you said, like, yeah, that's good or something.
I think I was looking at 4, so I wasn't thinking about 3, or I guess I thought you were talking about. I don't know. I was confused. So, yeah, I said, go ahead, Max.
And it was very late at night, and we had mashed together episode 3, and we were kind of brain dead because that kind of takes a lot of processing power to figure out when we're going to put up Where's the Beef, or a picture that doesn't correlate with the story whatsoever. But, of course, I just deleted all of episode 4. And I wasn't thinking, and I was like, I wonder why the episode 4 file's empty. And then I just immediately pooped myself. Panicked, I FaceTime Sam, and what does Sam do? I say, hey, Sam, do you got episode 4 stuff? Sam, what did you do to me?
I didn't. This is slander. I didn't do anything.
You did that Sam face. You know that face where it's like, I definitely don't have it, but I'm not going to tell you I don't have it, but I definitely don't have it.
There's no
like
face like
time.
that. It was your own preconceived conceptions, dude. It was your own misconceptions that made you think that was a face.
Dude, no, that was, you definitely were pulling me from the minute I called you. Because you know I only FaceTime you when I have like a dire emergency.
Exactly. Whose fault is that?
And you just knew it was time to play with my emotions. So I'm freaking out because we had some good segments in the last episode. I'm just like, oh my God, I literally screwed up. I screwed this whole game up. And I kind of thought Sam was going to be the first one to delete the sound file we needed.
Why would you think that?
Because I can just picture you in our group chat saying, hey, Fruit Loops, I screwed up.
Okay, first of all, I would never say that. I would say, hey, Fruit Loops, we're re-recording the episode. Let's do it again.
Would you give us a reason why?
No, I would let you guys figure it out here.
And I think me and AJ would go into like a Charlie from Always Sunny moment and like try to figure out exactly what was going on to cause this. And I know you would never tell us.
Oh, never, dude. I would continue to insist that I just think we could do it better if we did it again. I would be like, I want to change up, this part of the episode. I feel like we can't put out what we previously did. I'd come up with something.
So, basically what you're saying is you would cause another heart attack to me.
No, I'm saying I would provide us with the opportunity to redo something and do it better. I would provide us with the opportunity to further the quality of our output.
You kind of sell it pretty good, but I would still have a heart attack because that would like push us back schedule-wise.
We do have a pretty, not flexible, but our schedule's been working,
Yeah.
I kind of like the way we have things flowing.
We're basically like the hottest thing on the internet right now.
It's true. Yeah. We're popping off.
Yeah,
very spicy.
We're popping. We are spicy. We're big old spicy Italian sausages.
Max, you were talking to me about putting us on SoundCloud.
We already are on SoundCloud. We have 3 episodes on SoundCloud.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we have like a total of like 4 or 5 views on SoundCloud right now. We're really out there. We're really out there. And I'm spending big bucks to get us on SoundCloud. It's really not that much money.
Should I Venmo
And
you?
we'll probably... Nah, don't worry about it.
All right.
But going back to this topic in the beginning. So call Sam. Sam gives me that look. And I'm like, oh my God, I just screwed up this whole thing. And Sam lingers on this for like 3 minutes while I'm just staring at him. And he's staring back at me. And then he's like, nah, I got it. I'll throw it up. And I'm like, thank God. And I think the whole time Sam was uploading it in the background and was just pulling my leg until it was uploaded, because I was sitting in that folder when he said, I'll throw it up. It was immediately in that folder. It was like no time whatsoever.
So I don't think you should take full credit for this near tragedy, because I was sitting in the call with you and we were talking. I mean, yeah, our brains were fried, but I also said, like, yeah, you can go ahead and delete it. I don't care.
Yeah, but you agree, like you were like, hey, delete episode 3 stuff.
Exactly.
And I was like, episode 4 though? It's looking like it's time to delete.
yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, of course, that was the one time you like didn't download it immediately.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I was like, oh my God.
It was
I can't
very
believe I've done
nearly
this.
a sequence of events that led to our downfall.
So like my trigger finger on deleting is like one of my bad habits. You guys have any bad habits?
I mean, of course, definitely. Well, some people consider it to be drinking coffee to be like a bad habit. I don't know
Mhm.
where you stand on that.
I'm a big believer in the caffeine, but not bean water. That ain't it.
Well, that just happens to be my vice, I suppose.
So how many cups of bean water you drink a day?
I'd say on average 1.5.
Ooh.
So how many trips to Chipotle does that take to make?
To Chipotle?
Yeah, it's just pinto bean juice, right? You're just drinking that like that juice that's from the Chipotle beans.
Yeah, you mix it with water and you're good to go. But
So 1.5 isn't bad, right?
no, I don't think so.
It's-
I think
That's a lot, man.
you think so?
I think anything above 1 is a lot, especially if you're doing. When you say every day, what do you mean? Like 5 days a week, like 7 days a week? What are we talking?
I'm saying like full 7 days a week. Like this
Oh
morning,
my!
I woke up, I had a cup of coffee and a bowl of cereal, and then a little bit later on, I was like, that didn't really hit the spot for me, so I'm gonna make another cup of coffee. So that put me at 2 on the day, which raises my global average to above 1, but below 2.
Exactly. And I think once you raise your global average above 1, that's when you start encountering problems, man. I don't know. That's when you can start getting towards dependency.
Exactly.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, the dependency and caffeine withdrawal. I don't know if you've ever had that, Max, but it's not fun.
Did I ever tell you guys about my crippling energy drink addiction?
No.
I mean, did you have withdrawal symptoms?
Nah, I'm pretty good at leaning myself off stuff.
So
I think like the first day I may have had a headache, but after that I was pretty good at leaning myself off.
when was this?
This was my last year. I still drink a lot of energy drinks a week, but I only drink them on the weekends. And I limit myself. But I have my profession has a major exam that you kind of have to take, you kind of don't. It's like half people take it, half people don't, but it gets you a nice certification. And it takes 8 hours to do it. And I had this idea that I was going to do it while I was still in school. So I was like studying for the exam and also like doing homework and stuff. So I was like, man, I got to really start buying energy drinks because I'm just sleeping like 1 hour a night. So I started drinking 1 energy drink a day, and that kind of transitioned into 2 energy drinks. And then I passed the exam, and then it continued to drink 2 energy drinks a day.
Oh.
And then I was like, man, I really got to stop. And I threw a can into like the trash can at my house, and it like picked up off my microphone. And like somebody asked me like what I did, and I Snapchatted them a picture of my trash can full of Monster energy drinks. and they said I had a problem. And then it was like everything in my life. As soon as somebody says it's a problem, I dissect my whole entire life to figure out if it's actually a problem, and then I try to lean myself off of them. But
But
I imagine energy drinks are probably worse than bean juice.
let me ask you a question. And I'm going to
Uh-huh.
turn the whole topic around on its head. What is your best habit?
Best habit
Yeah,
definitely for me is eating right.
eating right. Like you pride yourself on your consistency.
Yeah, I really only eat what I want to eat once a week.
Well, a cheat day.
Yeah, cheat day, and that's
You
it.
strongly believe in the concept of cheat day.
I strongly believe in the concept of cheat day. Actually, I think it's supposed to help you lose weight.
I knew some guys in college. There was these two guys. They were definitely suffering from like the freshman 15.
Uh
You know, except it was more like the freshman 40.
huh. Oof.
Yeah, they one guy was actually a tennis player. Like him and his brother were the number one ranked tennis players in their state in high
Uh
school.
huh.
And then the younger brother, who I guess was like a year and a half younger than the older one, who's the guy I knew. He uh like had a hip injury that turned into like hip surgery, and he was like in a wheelchair for his entire freshman year, and he just packed on the pounds.
Oh yeah. As soon as you're immobile, it's really hard to not pack on the pounds.
So then for the next couple of years in college, he was just like, like, damn, I really got to like get back to where I was. And then eventually he teamed up with another guy who was also, like, he was also a baseball player who had an injury, got depressed, and then put on a bunch of pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Not to, make light of anybody's depression or what have you. Um,
Trust me, I depression a lot.
well, yeah, and it happens. And so these two guys were like, okay, we're gonna like eat right, like 6 days out of the week, and we're gonna literally play for cheat day. Once we make it to cheat day, it's all rules
It's
are
over.
lifted. Like they would, it was hilarious because they would just talk about during the week the whole time what they're gonna eat on that coming Sunday.
Oh, I do that same shit.
I mean, hey, I'm validating it here because it works for you, worked for them.
Yeah. It's because you're tricking your metabolism into that, like, you're gonna eat healthy, and then boom, you eat all this stuff. It's gonna boost your metabolism because your body's like, we gotta learn how to digest this. And then, bingo, you're back to it, and you're like, I'm sad again. I'm eating a salad.
Well, the other thing is, I think it sets your body at a certain like level, because
Yeah,
six out of 7 days you're doing the right thing. Your body adjusts to that, not the one day.
yeah.
I'm not
And
I'm
then
not really an
boom,
expert, but
you're eating 12-pound Sunday in bed,
12-pound
like
Sunday.
a
Oh,
like a
a
true.
Sunday.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, I see what you're saying. All right, now we go to Sam. Sam, what
yeah. Sam,
is
what?
your best and worst habits?
Yeah, we don't know.
All right. So I don't make a habit of cultivating good habits. Only bad habits here.
I can respect
Okay,
that. I can respect that.
love to hear that. Our friend really just cultivating bad habits.
So I mean, bad habits, dude. All right, all right. Uh, I don't, can't admit to my worst habits here on the podcast. Gotta
It's too
Yeah,
maintain.
you don't have to give us your worst. Just give us some.
Mm, Let me think. Well, when it comes to studying, so all right, I'm still hitting that university right now, right? Take a couple classes here and
Yeah.
there. I have a bad habit of approaching some of my classes. All right, not the most important classes, but some of my classes in the wrong mindset, right? Like if it's not something I'm really gonna need for my field, I kind of approach it with like, what points do I need to pass, and how can I hit that point with as little investment as possible.
It sounds like you're just min-maxing school. That's not a bad habit.
Depending on how you apply that min maxing, it can be. And yeah, it's to the point where like if I could hit like a solid B with say without doing the last like project or something, dude, I'd probably go for it. Or like uh if I don't have a lot of time to study that week, I'm like, all right, I'll shoot for a certain grade here. Only study enough to get that grade, and then we'll come back on the next test or something like that. And I mean, it's worked out surprisingly. It's not healthy, but it's worked out.
Let me ask you
Now, do you
something.
have? Oh, go ahead.
Um, well, is your question on topic with this, Max? Because mine's a bit off topic.
Mine's on
All right,
topic.
go ahead first.
So, do you have spreadsheets for this?
I got like mental spreadsheets, dude, but you just
Dude, I don't think this is a bad habit. I think this is a perfectly fine habit, especially since like your goal is to get out of school.
this is true.
Because I just did that same thing, but I had a spreadsheet.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, every class. As soon as I started the class, I had a spreadsheet, and I would track every grade I got.
That's
And
blessed.
I would the whole time I would have it set to where I could just put in a number for what I got on the final exam to see where I would pass at. So like if I needed a 10 to pass the final exam, I would barely study for the exam because I had like other stuff to worry about. So I don't think that's a bad habit whatsoever.
I think a lot of people have done variations on that at some point in their school
Yeah.
experience. What I wanted to ask though is, have you ever purposefully not turned in, say, a project?
Yes.
Okay, because that's interesting. I was just sitting here thinking about it when you were explaining it, and I don't think I've ever simply not turned in anything. I think I've turned in stuff incomplete and I've turned in stuff late, but I don't think I've ever just said no and not done it.
Well, what about the CU project you did for computer programming?
See you?
Yeah, the Czech university that Sam did for one of his projects and didn't turn it in, and then the guy got expelled.
Oh,
Remember that from like 3 episodes ago?
exactly.
You asking me or Sam?
I'm just saying in general. That was one thing that Sam turned in or didn't turn in purposely.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, I already said I have sometimes not turned in projects. Generally speak, in that case, it was just like I definitely shouldn't do this type thing, and I just did not feel good about turning in a copied project,
Hmm.
which legit saved my whole like school career. So good on me. But also, I mean, sometimes it's just like school, right? You don't have to get every, especially if you're in college, man. You don't have to get every point. You're often not in a position to get every point. Like if you're working while you're going to school, or depending on the course load that you're taking, man, you are not always in the position where you can get every point. So at that time, you got to be able to sacrifice, right? Like if you're doing really well in this class and you know another class is going to require a couple extra hours of study or a couple extra hours of work on like a project or homework that week, you might say, okay, maybe I'm not going to turn in this one thing for this class I have like 100% in, or something similar to that. Like earlier this week, I contemplated. I had a math exam and I had a project to turn in for one of my computer science classes, right? And
Hmm.
so I pushed off. We can turn in our programs like a day late, but you just start losing points each day. So I pushed that bad boy
Yeah.
back. Like, all right, I'll turn it in late for credit because I really got to study for this math exam. You just,
See, that's not a bad habit. That's just doing school
yeah,
right.
you just gotta give and take, man. That's what it is. But to turn the conversation a bit away from that, so I do, occasionally I'll contemplate cultivating good habits. And a good habit I found is, that there's a saying. It's like you are the sum of your environment, but you're also like the sum of like the closest five people to you and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
So I found, and we do talk about school a lot on this podcast, don't we?
We'll
But
cut it off.
That's
We'll
all
cut
right.
it off after this.
yeah, when it comes to school, or really anything in your life, if you want to cultivate a skill, for example, you got to get in with people who are also like trying to get better at that skill. So like in school, find the people in your class who are actually like working hard, invite them into like a study group or hang out with them at the
Oh yeah.
library. Just surround yourself with people who are studying and actually working towards that class. Or if it's like another skill outside of school, right? Like I don't know, you want to get better at art, well then get into some kind of art group, connect with people who are doing the same thing. And if you surround yourself with people who are constantly trying to improve, you will find yourself also trying to improve like that. So that's a good habit I try to do sometimes.
Dude, that's super fuck. That's super solid.
Max, we're gonna have to bleep
That's like
that now.
nah, it's all
All
right.
right.
We already passed the 10-minute mark, and I already cursed already. We're gonna be all right.
Sam, one more thing I want to add on to that, because that's absolutely true. That was true for me when I was in school. There was like, you had a group that usually like got together with because you were all on the same page in terms of like classes, assignments, stuff like that. But I also found, and this was, I don't know how I don't think maybe I didn't handle it the best way I could have, but I also found that like in the end, I didn't actually like some of the people that I ended up in groups with. Like they just weren't good people. And I found that wore on me, like really it rubbed me the wrong way. And after a while, I was just sick of like doing stuff with these people because I was like they're just horrible people and it makes me feel bad. Like sure we get the work done, but like I don't want to be near these people any more than I have to.
That's also true.
Now, were these people that like were assigned to groups with you,
Not
or
necessarily. Not necessarily.
these were just some like random
It
people
was
you
just
met or
like
knew?
yeah, like maybe I had like a random like calc class, and you just end up with whoever, right? Maybe
Mhm.
you know one guy in the class, and then that one guy knows like three other people, and you end up in a group, something like that. I guess this is like a weird experience for me because I jumped around a lot, And I think I
Yeah.
mentioned this before in one of the other things, and I promise listeners we will stop talking about school after this. I promise to
Well,
you.
we're gonna be in deep poop after this because I have like 17 school topics on this
Dog,
card in
Oh
we
front of me.
gotta pivot.
bless.
Let me just finish this thought though. The
Yeah.
point is that when you're on track in school and like you're with your major, I mean, and you have all your classes set up, you have basically lined up what semester you're going to take everything, what year you're going to take everything, and by the end of year 4 or whatever, you're done. You know what I mean? Like in a normal school curriculum. That's how it was for me at least.
Mhm.
But as soon as you're off that like track, everything's up in the air and you're just lost in the sauce. And once I wasn't on track with the rest of my class, and once I started like, maybe I had to retake calc or something, or maybe I had to, I didn't take the same elective as like everybody else in my major at a certain time, I was on the outs. And that really screwed with me. Because then I found I was with people that I didn't necessarily know or like or whatever. And I don't know. I had a weird college experience. I'll leave it at that.
That's college, though.
Yeah,
Everybody has a weird college
Yeah,
experience.
the more you meet people who are in college and the more you talk to people, I realize the number of people who had like this the standard like 4 year college experience and just straight through no fuss, not as large as you think it would be.
yeah.
You can't trust them either.
Yeah, oh, that's also true, dude. Anybody
One
who got in and out in 4 years and got a good job after that, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know what I don't know. You gotta watch them.
You can you can only trust people that have graduated pre 4 years, so they just
Hmm.
did it in like no time whatsoever, or you trust people that have taken more than 4 years. If you take 4 years,
If you take four
come
years
on.
without any like winter or summer classes, I don't. You just gotta watch them. And a couple of our friends have actually done that, dude. I keep an eye on them too.
Yeah,
whoa.
you can't trust them.
Can't trust them.
Can't trust them.
All right.
So here's a question for you guys. Can we talk about stories that have taken place in not like in school, but around a school?
Yeah,
Do
that's
you
fine.
have a story you want to tell?
Well, this kind of goes back to bad habits and about how being like completely sober made me like meet the worst person in my life.
So your straight edge
My straight edge demeanor,
demeanor. Okay.
besides overdosing on
Energy
what's that
drinks.
stuff that puts you to sleep when you do surgeries?
Uh
Anesthesia.
yeah, yeah.
For getting my Anne Boleyn tumor removed. Besides that, I've never done drugs
It's for the best.
or
It's
alcohol.
for the best.
But there's an issue with that, right? Because we go and we have, before the big old roni, the pepperoni ruined a lot of people's lives. Uh, we used to get together and have these like crazy parties.
They-
And crazy as in gamer
they-
parties, which is like, come on,
Max,
you
what,
guys are
what are
just
you
getting
saying?
drunk in a pool.
What are you saying, Max?
I'm saying gamers are bad, but that's besides the
Gamers are a
point.
different kind of crazy, alright?
Yeah, they are a different kind of crazy. But we used to have these crazy parties, and it would just be me and like maybe one other person that was sober the whole time. So it was like I always kind of felt like a little left out. Like I know like it's my choice or whatsoever. And how I replaced that void was I used dating apps. Because I always like desperately like I guess wanted love. And the dating apps were like, this is your solution. Like you can find love on here. And really it was just a game. Like you're just playing a game on your phone. Like that's really what it is. But I would like swipe every day, constantly be swiping. And then I got up to school on main campus and I'm swiping. And I match with this girl who has a pretty interesting bio. And actually I'm having a real conversation with her, right?
We all
I'm
we all
like,
have
this
those
is
ones.
Yeah, like this is crazy. Like I just swung out, like I went on 3 dates beforehand and I swung out on all of them and they were all like, I thought it all went great, but it obviously didn't. And I had already flopped on love a couple times. It kind of shot me in the wrong direction. And I mean, even Sam knows I had a Tinder problem for a really long time because every once in a while he asks me how it's going.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell him I've been cold turkey for almost a year and he's like, no, you haven't. I'm like, yes, I have, Sam. That's besides the point. So I matched with this girl. I was going to change her name, but I'm not. Her name is Liz.
Dang,
Uh,
Max, this is the second
mean,
time
there's
you
like-
doxed yourself in like 2 minutes.
yeah, but like, there's no way
All right,
there's no way anybody can find
We'll see
her.
what
I'm already
happens.
working on tracking you down, dude. So
We'll see what happens.
Maybe you guys could, but even you, like, I had like no other contact with her besides Tinder. And there's 1,000 Elizabeths
Through the
everywhere.
swiping app.
Yeah, through the swiping app. But I matched with her. I'm like, she seems really cool. Let's go on a date. So I propose Quadoba.
Let me ask you a question,
And now
Max, real quick.
What's up?
Slightly off topic. You would describe yourself as a straight shooter too, right? When it comes to like your conversations regarding this kind of stuff, like you're just the kind of guy like, hey, I think you're cool. Let's go on a date, right? Like no.
No. I like to pretend like I am, but no.
Oh, all right. Anyway, you get back to your story.
I'm a big culprit of the Danny Phantom illness. I just go ghost a lot. And that's because like the issue with Tinder is that you have so many options and you're like you don't want to like sit down and actually learn a person. You rather just go to the next one, which is the reason why I had to just go cold turkey on all of it. But
yeah, go ahead.
so I meet up with this girl. She lived like a couple blocks down from me. So I meet up with her and I say, "Hey, let's go to Cordoba." And she corrects me and says I'm saying it wrong. It's actually like something else. And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I failed Spanish."
The Mexican place?
And yeah.
Okay.
And like the whole time she's correcting me and I'm like you're not even Hispanic. Like why are you doing this to me? And so we go there, I buy her a meal, whatever. We sit down and I'm talking and she's telling me all about how many concussions she has. I'm like, "Wait, you have how many concussions?" This girl had 14 concussions.
I think it
14
becomes, like,
individual.
once you get your first concussion, it becomes easier to get concussed afterwards, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
But the story she had about how she got concussions, I was like, "Oh my God, you need to just never leave your home."
Was she an athlete?
I think the first concussion was an athlete, but the other 13 weren't.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she told me she couldn't put a cup down on the table because like I guess her depth perception. So like I'm not trying to like judge her on this, but I didn't think this was like I didn't know it was an actual thing. But once you get so many concussions, your depth perception changes, and apparently she couldn't even like get the cup on the table. Like she would have to like continuously watch it as it came down and touched the table. That's how bad it was.
So this is all the stuff she's leading off with.
Yeah, this is the first date.
She's
This
like,
is we're
I
at
have
Cordoba.
several concussions, like more than several concussions.
Yeah.
I have poor depth perception.
Yeah.
How are you?
I mean, she's clearing the air, man. She's making sure everything's out there.
I guess.
Now, I'm not a very attractive person,
Hang on.
so I'll take pretty much
Debatable.
whatever
Don't
comes
take
to
the
me.
viewers.
Debatable.
Don't take that as fact.
I'm a-
alright?
Max,
I'm a
Max,
2 out of 10, baby.
no put downs. You can't put yourself down here.
If we had $10 to spend on the dollar menu. Anyways,
Anyway,
I'm not gonna put myself down too much, but I'll pretty much, if a girl is interested enough in me to go on a date, I'll go on a date with her and see how things go. And that has led to a lot of these crazy date stories. But this girl's got to be the craziest one. So she's leading off with all this stuff. She tells me about a couple of her concussions, and I'm just blown away. And then she starts talking about this dog meme page that she's obsessed with. And she's like, you can't rate dogs on a normal scale. You have to rate them above 10. And I'm like, no, I can rate dogs however I want. Like a pug, I'm going to rate you a 1.5.
So
1.5 out of 10.
might I ask, like, what does she mean by that, right? Like instead of a 1 out of 10, you'd like give it like 1 out of 20 or something, or?
You got to give it, like, if it's a dog, it's above a 10. So if you're rating it out of 10, it's like 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10,
so
14 out of 10.
dogs
Because she follows some
inherently-
sort of Tinder page
Oh,
or
okay.
Twitter page that does
so
it.
dogs inherently have higher value than 100%. Like a 10 out of 10, they have to be higher than that.
Yeah.
Because she just likes dogs that much.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, I mean,
But she got it all from this internet page, and she's like, you got to rate a dog just like how this internet page does it. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm eating a soggy quesadilla and talking to this girl who has 14 concussions about how I've been rating dogs wrong my whole life. And I've never rated a dog before that date.
you've never just
Um,
stopped to consider that's like a 6 out of 10 dog.
Yeah. Never.
Well, of
Never.
course not, because
And-
all dogs are pretty cool,
Yeah.
right?
They're all above 10, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'm not I'm not out here to compare one dog to another, dude. They're all chilling, you know. So, I
So
respect
yeah, like I don't want to spend my time rating dogs, because every time we saw a dog, she would ask me what it was, and of course I'm gonna joke. Of course I'm gonna be like, that's a 2 out of 10,
You're
And
just
then
playing
watch
it
her
off, right?
and watch her flip out, because I'm like, this is hilarious. But I didn't realize she was serious when she was flipping out on me.
She was overly serious about it.
Yeah, she was like super into it. So I'm eating the soggy quesadilla. All these dogs are walking by, and we're messing around. And I'm like, okay, let's roll. Let's get out of here. And we leave. We end up like walking around campus for a little bit. I walk her back home. I'm like, I am never seeing that girl ever again. And I walk back to my house. I relax, and then my phone blows up. And she's like talking to me constantly. So eventually she asked me to go on a second date. And I'm like, maybe I should give this girl the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe
Like,
maybe
I'll
she
just
was
go.
hungover or having CTE symptoms or something.
Could have been everything, right? So we're walking to the next, it's probably the next week or whatever. The first date was in the middle of the day. This date's at night, right? And that's important for the story. It's like 7 o'clock. We're going to get dinner. We go to a different variation of Subway pizza.
Oh no.
But this one's actually pretty good. I like this Subway pizza.
Okay.
But we're walking, because of course the campus I was on had like 27 different Subway pizzas, and they were all different in different ways. But we're walking there, and she finally asked me the first question about myself, which like blew me back a little bit, because typically when I'm on dates, girls don't ask me about anything, and I don't really reveal too much.
They like to talk about themselves.
No, not really.
Interesting.
So a lot of the times it's like pulling teeth, and then we just sit there awkwardly.
Oh God, Max, I'm so sorry for you.
Nah, it's fine. I get myself into these situations.
That's fair.
It's like I'm digging the trench and then I'm like layer the dirt on top of me and then I get mad when the dirt's on top of me. No, like I did it to myself.
It's a good way of looking at it.
That's
But
an interesting way to look at it, I'll say.
yeah. But so we're walking there and she asks me where I'm from. And so I tell her my hometown and she goes, no. And I'm like, wait, what? She's like, no, you're saying it wrong. And she tells me how my hometown's supposed to sound. But she says it exactly how I say it. So I'm like, are you having like an issue right now? Because you're not even from the same state I live in. Like you're an outsider coming in and I'm saying it right. And
Because
so
you're
I'm
from
like,
there.
this is going to be the best bit of my life. And if I could do anything again, I would revert back to my old self and say, just shut up and get over with this because it's going to be the worst date of your life. Right? So we're in line waiting. Of course, it's a packed restaurant. Right? And I'm just messing around. And I keep on bringing up my hometown. And she gets progressively angry. She gets angrier and angrier and angrier to the point of where she's yelling at me full bore in this restaurant.
No.
And we're in line, and the guy in front of me turns around, and he just mouths, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
And I'm like, holy smokes, this is going to be the worst date of my life. So sometimes when I'm like super bored, I like to rip things up. Like if I'm like bored at a restaurant, maybe I'll rip up the napkin or I'll mess around with the cup. It's just like kind of like this weird habit I've developed, another bad
A
habit.
little bit of a nervous fidget type thing.
Yeah, and I told her about that in the first date. Or maybe I didn't and I just started doing it and she asked why I was doing it and I told her I was bored. I don't really remember.
Oh no, you said. Oh well.
No, it gets worse.
Yeah.
So we eat and she's telling me about some musical she watched. And of course the story is like it's like half baked and I'm like, what am I doing here? I just ate a mediocre pizza and now I'm ripping up a plastic water cup and learning about this musical that I literally have no interest in. This girl, like, I don't even think this girl knows my name. So, of course, I'm like, all right, we good to go? And she's like, she's mad at me because I ripped up my cup. I'm like, really? You're going to be mad at me for this? She told me I wasted the cup, and I'm like, really? No one else is going to drink out of this cup. Like, I put it in the recycles. Like, why are you mad at me? So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we'll just go back and we'll end the date here. She's like, no, I want to hang out more. And I'm like, not good at saying no. So I'm like, okay, sure.
You're like trying to walk around or some shit.
So we're walking down the main strip of my campus, and one of my buddies worked at a liquor store. And I know he's working. And I'm like, hey, I got to stop and go talk to my buddy real quick. And she's like, I can't go in there. I'm not 21. Because at the time, I was 21 and she wasn't. She was 20. And I was like, okay. So I ran into the liquor store, and I'm like at the little liquor counter. I'm talking to my buddy, and I'm like, dude, it's going so bad. You got to get me out of this. And he was like, you got to just stay in here as long as possible until she leaves. And I'm like, that's so messed up. What do I tell her? And he was like, no, you got to stay in here as long as possible until she leaves. And I'm like, I'm just going to go out there. Should have listened to his advice. I went out there. Of course, she's still there. We went and sat like silently, like on a lecture hall step and looked out like at the campus for like no lie an hour and a half. No conversation, nothing. We just sat there.
So I gotta ask, man.
Yeah.
Actually, completely to interject. Have you gotten any better at saying no?
I'm a little better, I think.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to like during the pandemic, one of the girls that I was talking to had messaged me and said like, hey, come to the park with my family. And I was like, nah, it's a pandemic.
Based.
But besides that, no.
Interesting.
Next,
So,
well, it sounds like this whole experience changed you in ways, but yeah, just go ahead and finish this
oh,
one up for us.
we're like close to the peaking point
Oh,
of bad choices in my life. So I eventually get her to move off the step, and I get her to go kind of where I parked my bike, which is down like by her street, but it's not at her house. She sits down on the curb and will not move. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to bring you back home. Like, it's dark out and you don't live on the best street. I should walk you home. And she's like, no, I'm not moving. And I'm like, what am I doing with
wait,
my life? I'm now babysitting this girl.
wait, like, she's like, because she doesn't like want to go home, like,
Yeah.
so she's like, I'm
She
just,
wants to continue to hang out with me, but we haven't talked in an hour and a half.
and you were gonna bike away, like you.
I was getting ready to bike away. But I stayed for another half an hour until I got her to go home. So I walked her home, went home. She was like, "Oh, that was the best date of my life."
Um,
And I'm like, "This girl's had too many concussions." So what do you think I would naturally do in a situation like that?
So naturally, what you should do is never talk to her again.
Bingo, Danny Phantom. But a ghost can only be a ghost for so long.
did you run into her on campus?
Cue to 3 weeks later, I'm at my buddy's improv show,
Oh,
right? I'm there, I'm watching the show. It may have actually been the rival improvs group show, and then we were just there. I can't really remember because there was two improv groups. But me and my buddy were leaving the show, and I round around this dark corner, and guess who's standing there?
yeah, it's her.
It's her. She's standing in the doorway. And she turns and she says, "I just messaged you." And I look at my phone and there's a new message from her, and I'm like, "No." She's like, "You should come to this after party." And I'm like, "Nah, I got stuff to do. Like, I can't do that. I got stuff to do. I can't do that. I'll see you later. Bye."
So you said
And I
no.
left.
You said no, Max.
I'm proud of you.
I said no, right?
Is it because you had the confidence because you were with your friend?
No, it's because I needed to cook my meals for the week.
Well, that's listen. As long as you could put up some kind of excuse, and it wasn't even an excuse. You had a alibi.
Yeah, I had an alibi. So I go home, and she's messaging me to come out, and I send it to my friend. I'm like, "Hey, what should I do?" And he says, "You should just be direct with her." And you know what I said?
No.
I said, "Liz, hey, I did not have fun with you last time we hung out. I don't think this is going to work." And guess what the wrong answer was?
Oh no, Max.
She went ballistic.
Oh God, dude. After 2 dates, man.
2 dates and then 3 weeks of not talking to her.
Two like, oh my God, what was she doing during those 3 weeks, dude? Just
Looking
thinking
for
about
I
you.
don't know.
She built a shrine to you in the back of her closet.
And it should have been that moment that I should have been like, Tinder was not the correct choice for my life. I should have just immediately been like, no, I should stop doing this.
Taking the high road.
And I did it again for another 3 years or 2 years. Something like
That's
that.
a bad habit, Max.
That's a real bad habit. You know what also is a bad habit?
Tell me.
Ad read time. You guys want to take an ad read?
Yeah.
All right, take a quick little ad read.
Um,
We'll be right back after a message from Bobby. Today's episode is sponsored by Bob's Gaming Gunk Removal. You've heard of Gamer Goo that removes all the gamer gunk from your gamer gear, but now it's time to level up and start using the real stuff, Bob's Gamer Gunk Removal. This product is brought to you by the same people that brought to you Bobby's Body Removal. So you know they're good at removing all that crud from your gaming controllers, you filthy gamer. This episode is also sponsored by our subscribers. Keep on doing your thing, you beautiful boys. Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that beautiful ad read. We did a little discussing off camera or off microphone to figure out what we're gonna do next. And if you're here for the second part of the caveman story, we're gonna save that for the end, and we're gonna go into a fun little game I like to call "What is your first? What was your first dream job?" And since I started with a crazy story, I think I want to end this one. So, who wants to go first?
I heard Sam was just excited, very excited to answer this.
Oh,
Dive in.
you know what that means. Sam, you're up.
Vibrating, dude. I'm bursting with excitement right now. So I mean, dream jobs, right? Like as a kid, a lot of people had, as a kid you generally don't have an idea of what you want to do when you get older, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least even if you do have an idea, it doesn't look like, it usually doesn't resemble what you actually end up doing, right? That's why they call it a dream job or whatever.
It's like firefighter,
Yeah, or
or
like astronaut.
yeah, astronaut, or it's president of the United States, something like that.
Now, as a kid, I never really like had a lot of ideas for my dream job. So I guess you could say, no, no. Actually, my dream job was always been as unrealistic as something like astronaut. Now that I think about it.
What was your dream
So
job?
as a kid, my dream job was something where I would just be like rich enough that I wouldn't have to work. And that was like, oh yeah, when I get older, dude, I'm just gonna make so much money that I can retire at like age 25.
Dang.
Whew. Yeah,
Uh,
a little unrealistic, I guess.
did you do it? Did you retire at 25?
It's still a work in progress, and actually, I think my dream job right now, it actually kind of resembles my dream job from a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my dream job right now, I was thinking, dude, maybe if I could get a job making like 80 or 90K, and then I only have to work like 4 days a week, 20 hours yeah, 20 hours a week max. So just get paid like 90K for it. So my dream job actually kind of resembles what I was trying to do as a kid.
Sam, can I say something?
Yeah, hit me up.
Now, you know my hatred for gamers.
Okay.
Now, and you know my hatred for Twitch.
Hmm.
But honestly, I think you have like this personality that could excel on Twitch, calling people Fruit Loops and making 90, 10, or whatever 90K a year, calling people Fruit Loops on the internet, because you already do that. You could be doing that and just have it on Twitch.
It's hard to say, man. I appreciate the confidence though, but those Twitch guys, dude, they really do work hard. Especially now that the market is so saturated. If you want to make it on Twitch, you got to be streaming at least like 12 hours a day while you're starting out, man. You have to go hard.
Yeah, you got to be streaming all the
You
time.
got to be passionate
Yeah.
too. My God,
Yeah.
like, and the thing is, you got to put out high quality content. Like you need to have good equipment. You need to have like good editing and stuff like that. I don't know. It's a lot of work. You're right.
So you don't necessarily have to have like the best, depending on what you're doing, all right? Because the content on Twitch, it can be pretty varied, and some of it requires a lot less editing and stuff like that than others.
Well, can you
But
tell I
yeah, I
don't
would
really
agree
watch
on
Twitch?
the good not so much the good content, but you do need the good equipment.
Fair enough.
Why do you need good equipment to call people Fruit Loops on the internet?
Because you have to sound good while calling people Fruit Loops instead of having static in the background all the time.
Dude, call them Fruit Loops and water buffaloes and noodle looking guys. That's the win. That's the way to go.
Yeah, but if some guy can do that, but he sounds twice as crisp as me, he's got me. He could steal my content out from under me.
Want me just to send you a microphone?
I mean, sure, if you want to, dude.
Okay.
I'll pop in my address. This microphone better at least be like $2,000 though. I'm not taking anything less.
Maybe for your birthday I'll send you a microphone.
Oh, based.
You just gotta remind me when we get closer to your birthday.
Oh, I'll remind you of my birthday. Don't worry.
All right, keep that mental note. So, dream job is to retire at 25. That's a solid dream job. I can't believe you were having that dream job as a kid.
Dude, I knew what I wanted
Mine
back
is
then.
nowhere near that. AJ, what about you?
So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you I don't have anything specific in mind because if I did, I would be pursuing that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's the truth. The other truth is that I think I have a different view on things because I know a lot of people that are sort of the same mindset that Sam is has expressed in that they want to work really hard when they're young, maybe like right around college time, put in like years of like hours and just get the money now and then just retire. And for what it's worth, I mean, I think that's a pretty achievable goal nowadays. Like I have a friend of mine who works his ass off and makes a ton of money and he's my age and like he can afford to just like literally anything reasonable he can afford at this point in his life. You know what I mean? Like he's not loaded, but
He's got a lot of
he's
money.
got like a lot of money for somebody our age. And like, good for him. Like, hey, that's
Oh yeah, more power
what
to
he
you.
set. Well, that's what he set out to do. Like that was his goal all along. And that actually brings me to my point is that he doesn't necessarily love the work that he does though, right? He sort of
Mm-hmm.
sees it as just a way to get to his ultimate goal, which was retiring early and then being able to like pursue his passions or live his life, etc., etc. I know I'm getting a bit abstract with this and then getting away from the answer, but I promise,
No,
Max.
no, keep on going.
Well, do
Keep on
you
going.
know?
We got to go where this goes.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, though, right? Like some people have different views on like like a career, work, job, stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
have a completely different view of things. I am open to working. Like I've worked at like a couple different grocery stores. I've been like camp counselor. I've done stuff like that before. Okay, but like
Yeah.
obviously that's not super sustainable, and also I'm more highly trained than that. So like I should in theory pursue something better. But the problem is I haven't figured that out yet because the way I see things is that I want to have it be where my work is completely in sync with my life, if that makes any sense. I think I yeah, do you have a question there, Sam?
No, no, no. Keep going.
Yeah. Again, stop me if I'm just sounding too out there, but
No, we gotta know what this means.
the
Continue.
way maybe it's just like a big America thing, but like people like put in all this work at these jobs, these careers, but they don't actually like care about them. They don't. They just do it. You know what I mean? They backbreaking work, whatever it is, mentally draining, exhausting work, and then it's as soon as work is done, it's like all right, let's get on with life.
Yeah, I see what you
I
mean.
um
So you want your
I
work
don't
to
know.
be a bit more like personal for you. You want to feel proud of your work.
Yes, that is you nailed it. That
So
is
like
exactly it.
it's like what you were saying. Like for some people, their life starts as soon as they get off of work. Like
Yes, the
even if
whole
they
concept.
moderately enjoy their job, they show up to work because they have to.
Right, and that's what it is. They're at work from this hour to this hour. All hours they're not at work, they're complaining about work. They're talking about how much work is kicking their ass and how much shit sucks. Um, and they're constantly
This sounds like
stressed.
our DMs, AJ.
What's that?
This sounds like our
Well, yeah,
DMs.
and I don't. Again, I don't want to. But Max, I'm sure you can relate to that though.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
what I'm saying is that makes no sense to me. It just doesn't. Like I wouldn't want to live that way, man.
Yeah, I mean
It just
if you have the choice, and once again, also it's not for everybody, right? Like
no.
what you're describing that you want to do, it's not for everybody. Like for
It's
example,
not realistic for a lot of
I'm
people.
yeah, like you say, it's just not realistic. It's not practical. We all do what we have to do to make it, right? And people got families, they got responsibilities, they got bills. You just got to get those things paid. and you have to do it with whatever situation you are in, whatever foundation you're coming from.
Believe me, I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me make a distinction though, Sam, because up until the old pepperoni pandemic or whatever you called it, Max,
The what did I call it?
I don't even remember, dude. Up until that hit, I was well, I was working at Trader Joe's, and then right after that hit, I'm now working. You know what? I'm gonna bleep that out, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm now working at another uh
Location
location. Yes, I have another job
of a different
of a
variation of
different
a Trader
variation of
Joe's.
a Trader Joe's. Exactly. Um,
Doesn't sell food though.
doesn't sell food. I'm getting off topic again. The point I'm trying to make is that I think those are jobs as far as I'm concerned, right? Those are to make ends meet. I'm making enough money to cover everything that I need to pay for, you know, those types of jobs. I'm talking like in a grander, like not a grand, a larger sense of like a career and like a passion and all that higher level bullshit that people tell you actually exists, but it's hard to determine whether or not it actually does.
Okay, so
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
you want to get on like a
Yeah.
career track where you feel like you are building something for yourself when you go to work, and you want to be one of those guys on the golf course, right? Who's like making deals and talking about the future.
Not even that.
Not even that.
Not even that. I think I'm doing a poor job explaining it because I haven't even like sorted it all out
What
in my head. It's more
what I got out of it is you don't want to work a job, you want to have a career.
and I want that career, right, to sort of
Hmm.
just like be in line with
You want the job to make you feel happy.
let me put it this way, okay? I have a friend. I'm not going to dox them, but I have a friend.
Uh-huh.
They work for they got a good degree out of college. They got
Uh-huh.
pretty much the best possible job you could get right out of college with this degree. Okay, the
Uh-huh.
de- the job pays for them to go back to grad school, pays for their masters, right? Gives them stipend for housing, and pays them 6 figures. Okay, out of college.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. However, and again, I'm not going to dox them, and this is again, we're getting way off topic if I get into what they do, but let me say this: the work that they do is not something I agree with at all.
Okay.
I find it to be troubling at the minimum and like downright like just disturbing.
Do they work for the mob?
Whoa.
No, they don't work for the
Okay,
mob. It's a
pardon.
very mainstream thing nowadays. I'll say it involves
Oh, they work for TikTok.
no. Well, I'm not going to spoil things again, but they work in technology. All right.
Oh no, is he a gamer?
No, not a gamer, Max.
Okay.
Do they work for the federal?
We dodged the
No,
bullet on
not
that
not
one.
a government agency, Sam. No, this is a private company. It's a startup, I think, actually, that they
Is
work
he a
for.
hacker?
It's
No,
legal
no,
lean.
no, no, not a hacker.
He's working for legal
No,
lean.
okay,
No
I don't
way.
know. They work.
Yeah, dude, he's making lean.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so you have a buddy who's making lean.
Yeah, more or less. And like basically, the point I'm trying to make is that like I just don't agree with their line of work, right?
Uh-huh.
And I obviously they aren't like totally in love with it, but again, they're like I'm making the most money I could possibly be making in my time and place right now. So, I don't even consider the fact that my work may or may not be questionable.
Well, it's legal because it's legal lean, so he's good.
I'm gonna end my rant there because I think it was incoherent and I think you may have
No, it was good.
Yeah,
It makes
you-
it makes sense. I really feel like you're expressing that you want to be happy,
well, yes,
and
ultimately
like you don't want to be
So,
dying at work
might,
every
might I
day.
ask a little bit more? Is this like illegal or just morally
no, no,
wrong?
it's not illegal. It's not illegal. Sam, let me put it this way: they work with social media companies. Okay.
Oh, this is not the direction I thought they were going.
No, no, they work with social media companies and big data. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
And the work they do involves, um, collect.
Maybe we shouldn't divulge
No,
this. Maybe we'll
I
do
mean
this off
this is
air.
not. No, this is not private or you know what I mean.
Okay.
Like everyone knows nowadays. Like they like literally take people's information, like as much as they could possibly glean about people, collect it, run it, build algorithms, run it through algorithms, and find ways to force people into like signing up for credit cards that'll put them into debt and stuff like that.
Oh,
So like
so it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
as
that's
cool as Legalene,
so
and it's
like
also worse.
I had a revelation. I hadn't seen this individual for the entire length of the pandemic. Okay?
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what they were doing.
Roni pepperoni.
The first time I saw them after we got vaxxed up and we went out and I saw them, they were in a state of panic because that's just like the kind of work that they do, just like sends them like off the wall. They're always stressed. And
Mhm.
I sat there quietly as they explained everything that's going on at work with them for like like over I guess the course of like a week or something. And I sat there, it must have been like for an hour. I didn't say a single word as they unloaded all this on me, and I was just like, "What the hell?" Like, actually, what the hell? I don't know,
It could have been you, AJ. You dodged the bullet.
dog. I don't think I'm getting my full point across here, but I'm gonna leave. I don't want to keep going because it's taking up a lot of time, but I hope you're glad you asked that question, Max. Because here we are.
Dude, I thought it was a good answer.
Ugh.
Well, mine's not as profound as the rest of you guys. I wanted to be Aaron Carter when I was a kid. You guys remember Aaron Carter?
He was from NSYNC.
No, I think that was his brother. Aaron Carter was like a solo act.
But didn't
He was
didn't
like
he
a
start
kid
out
when
on,
I
like,
was.
Backstreet Boys or something?
I think one of his brother was in a boy band, and that's how he blew up.
Max, your upbringing never ceases to amaze me.
I was just a kid who didn't have any friends and had an Aaron Carter CD, so I wanted to be Aaron Carter.
Just like you wanted to like
And
be a pop star.
yeah, like as a kid, like that, I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. And also, we'll get into that maybe next week about how I thought geography worked, but I thought that it was like a possible thing for me.
To
And by the way, my voice has always sounded like this.
From the moment you were born.
So like, yeah, it's like always been like this. It's always been like in this tone, and this is not a singing voice. This is a barely talking voice.
Did you ever take any steps to like learn how to sing or like
No.
teach yourself?
I have no musical ability whatsoever.
That's tough.
But on the bright side, Aaron Carter didn't turn out very well. He's got face tattoos and he's no longer successful.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's not very good. And he's probably going to challenge us to a celebrity boxing match after this, even though we only have 11 good old subscribers. Shout out to 11 subscribers. We love you all.
Love you guys. Thanks for
It's
coming.
true.
Yeah,
It's true.
straight out. But he will challenge us to a celebrity boxing match after this. So hopefully you guys are trained and ready.
I believe
Is
in
that-
AJ.
is that-
Because-
Well, is that in order to regain his clout
yeah.
by
It's
by
like
beating
the-
up on
it's the-
podcasters?
Yeah, beating up on three beautiful podcasts. Actually, any of us could destroy Aaron Carter. It's not hard. The dude's like 140 pounds. We could just wallop him.
I love the confidence there, man.
I mean, we can. There's no doubt about it.
I'm not sure there's much benefit in walloping on Aaron Carter as he is, but we would defend
There's
our
not,
crown,
no.
and that's always important.
Yeah. If I would beat Aaron Carter in a fight, does that make me Aaron Carter?
Do you want to?
Do I get-
want it to make you Aaron Carter?
Do I get to beat Shaq in his hit song "How I Beat Shaq"? I feel like none of you guys don't get this.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, Max. I vaguely know the name, but I have no idea who you're talking about. Like I could
After
not
this, I'll
pic-
link the song.
I could not picture who you're talking about. I could not. I don't know.
We'll have pictures up on the screen while this is going on for people, but for our audio listeners, he's a child from the 80s or 90s.
Is he still a child
90s.
right now?
Nah, he's an old guy with face tattoos.
I see.
And they are not good face tattoos. Like, there's some rappers that have really good face tattoos. He does not have good face tattoos. All right. Well, that really was the best possible outcome for dream jobs.
Are you sure?
I think 100% yes. I think both of you had real answers. Like, real vividing answers.
Max, is there something you want to add now, like as not a child? Do you have somewhere else you want to take?
Oh yeah, I have dream jobs now, but I'm not gonna talk about them because I'm gonna achieve them before I bring them up.
That's good.
Yeah.
Are-
I mean, the project that I've been working on in secret.
Let me ask you something, Max.
Not trying to spoil anything.
No,
but
not
we're
spoiling
pretty close.
anything here. No, we don't keep that to
Yeah.
yourself. What I do want to ask though is, are you doing these? Are you chasing this dream job out of spite, like you did with your degree?
No.
No.
I just want past me to be proud of current me. Like, if I had a time machine right now and I went back to like 5-year-old Max and I told him what I was doing, he probably would be impressed on like how built I am. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but he would not. He would be very disappointed in me. And I just want to, like, I'm literally doing this all to prove to my younger self that, like, I can do it. And also, I'm really passionate about this project. It's something I've always wanted to do.
Well, that's good.
So
That's really good.
yeah.
Because it's
Sam,
hard for people to self motivate. So like you being self motivated like that.
Oh yeah, it's a good trait to have.
It's all about that. You got to keep motivated. You got to keep grinding for this paper, dog. But boys, we're at 60.02% done the project. We're getting.
You have it calculated?
Yeah, I got a loose idea of how far we are.
Oh, that's a respectable percentage.
Yeah, and maybe I'll come back to the call after I'm done.
Don't do this. I can't handle this again.
All right, you guys want to talk about the caveman?
We got a caveman story coming up.
We still have 19 parts to the caveman.
That's insane.
Yeah, well let's start unearthing this caveman.
I mean, should we do a little recap of what happened in intro the Dorito floor?
Give like a 30-second recap.
I get into a lease, not really a lease, but with my high school bully, and I realize that he is a slob. I have just stepped in for the first time the school year into this like horrible apartment or horrible house that is covered in Doritos.
And the story picks up right there.
Story picks up right there, literally as I step foot into a Dorito. So as you guys know, I name each of these episodes, and this part is called Part 2, Cage-Free Meat. And this will become important later. So I take off my shoes, and I step right into a Dorito. And I realize that this house is going to be horrible. I step back out of the house, try to get as much Dorito dust off my sock as possible, and put my shoes back on. I then learn that this house is now officially a 100% shoes on at all times house. I never walked around barefoot in this house because no matter where you step, there was a Dorito. Literally, I'm not joking to you guys. There was Doritos covering the entrance to the kitchen, and then from the kitchen all the way to like his bedroom.
I'm trying to picture this. Like intact chips of Doritos?
Yes, like crumbs, Dorito chips, the whole nine.
How did this happen?
I don't know. I literally do not know.
And you didn't ask?
Well, there's a reason why I didn't ask.
All right,
we'll get to that during this part of the caveman
I'll stop
saga.
interrupting, Max. Take it away.
No, if you guys have questions, you gotta interrupt. So, right. I'm like, freaking hey, man. So I bring the box of stuff I have to the back. I go back into my car that's still covered. It's still filled with stuff. And I have stuff that needs to go in the fridge. But I'm like, I got to handle this Dorito problem first because there's Doritos everywhere, and I'm not tracking Doritos all the way through the house. So I start cleaning up the Doritos with the broom and the stuff that I have um in my car. So I sweep up all the ones at the entrance and in the hallway. I put it into the thing, into like the little dustbin. I'm like, okay, it's time to go throw this away. So I tiptoe around the Doritos that go into the kitchen. And by the way, this is a very old house. It was built in like the 40s or the 50s. I don't really remember. And I go into the kitchen, which looks like it's still out of the 40s. And I notice the dishes in the sink have been piled up all the way to the top that it is touching the faucet.
That's an achievement.
It is an achievement, yes. And it smells horrible in the kitchen. I go over to the trash can. The trash can is full and overflowing. And his solution to the overflowing trash can was to put the lid on top of the overflowing trash.
Well, at least he put the lid on there, man. He tried.
And the recycling bin, which I don't believe a recycling bin should be in the house. I think that should be an outside thing. Like, I think if you have a recycling object, you should have to go and bring it to the recycling bin outside yourself. And that's something that I really believe in, because it just kind of just takes the space and makes your kitchen look horrible. Because no one ever has a lid for the recycling bin. But that was overflowing, and he had like 1,000 milk jugs around this recycling bin. Like, the whole house was just horrible. So of course it took me like 20 minutes to get all the trash that had fallen off when I pulled the bag out of the trash can. By the way, when I pulled the trash bag out of this thing, it was like almost disintegrating. I go outside, I flip open the trash can, and there's a trash bag that's been in there for probably 2 months. I can already see the maggots crawling out of this trash bag. And I say, this is a problem for future Macs, because I have stuff that needs to go in the fridge like pronto, because it's going to go bad if it sits in my hot car this whole time. So I clean up the kitchen besides the dishes. I'm like, that's a problem for future Macs. I need to get this stuff that's cold in the fridge as soon as possible. So I get the stuff out of the car, bring it over to the fridge. I've cleaned up all the Doritos off the floor. We're like 30 to 45 minutes to being at this new home, right?
And the guy's not here, right?
The guy is not here. Nobody's here.
Oh, okay.
It's just me. I'm just alone. Also, by the way, they never told me the Wi-Fi password or what the Wi-Fi was. So there's nothing for me to entertain myself besides my own thoughts. By the way, there's furniture in this house too. That will be important for a very later bit. None of it is mine, which is also very important. All of my furniture is in my room, or in Z's room, because of course, when I went and checked the room that was supposed to be mine, all their stuff was still there. And I was like, come on, guys, really? So I open up the fridge and get hit with the most vile smell of my life. Every sauce container that was on the side of the fridge has been opened and is dripping onto the side of the fridge. Like on those shelves. You know there's shelves when you open up the door of the fridge?
Sure.
Just sauce and gross stuff everywhere.
Ugh.
Inside the fridge is mold. Mold was growing in the vegetable containers. He had a 50-pound sack of cheese open. It was just shredded cheese open out to the open refrigerator. He had one hot dog on the glass and cage-free meat, which is what me and Z called his ham. The reason why we call it cage-free meat was because he had this little miniature ham that he would cut slices off of and eat. The issue was that he never bagged it up. It was always cage-free, and he would just either put it on the glass or he would put it somewhere around the house. And it would sit out for a couple days before it managed to get back into the fridge.
He just had like a hunk of ham.
of ham. Yes.
Where do you even get
Like a
that?
small little ham that he was
Like you
cutting
just
off
bought
of.
like a family ham from the grocery store?
Yeah, but it was smaller than a family ham. It was probably like a half-pound ham.
And he just left it sitting there in the fridge. Nothing else. Just that
No,
piece of ham.
just that piece of ham. He had like a whole bunch of other expired stuff in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, but he would just take chunks out of it when he was hungry.
Yes. Yeah. And that cage-free meat comes important here later. So, of course, I'm like, shit, I got to clean this refrigerator out before I clean any of this. I got to clean the refrigerator out before I put my stuff in.
Still got groceries.
Yeah, because I got groceries. So, I'm like, I need to get to that sink to clean my stuff out.
Oh, no.
The sink is not just glasses that I originally thought. The sink is filled with trash. He had been using the sink as another trash can. Right? So I'm like, what is this kid doing? And of course, it's filled to the top. So for me to clean the dishes, I either have to scatter these dishes that are covered in ketchup and peanut butter across the kitchen, which means I have to clean the counters, or I have to clean the dishes on top of the trash. So I decided I was going to clean the dishes on top of the trash, which was a horrible mistake because by the time I finished doing all the dishes, 30 minutes later, because I needed to find dish soap, because of course he didn't bring any dish soap, so I had to go dig through my car to find a box that had dish soap and a towel. After I finished cleaning all the dishes, there was about 2 rolls of toilet or paper towels in there, and about, give or take, 45 pepperonis in the drain.
Of the
and I had to
sink?
fish in the sink, yes.
Oh, my God.
And I had to fish basically all of it out. And he had this bad habit of putting toilet or not toilet paper towels in the sink, and that's a story for another day, and it is a great story. So I cleaned the sink out, and after I cleaned the sink, it's like been, I don't know, like an hour and a half, and I still have not seen him. And my stuff, the ice is basically melted in my coolers. And so now it's sicko mode. I have to go ham to try to get this fridge clean after touching all that gross stuff in the sink. So I basically take the fridge apart, throw away everything besides the cage-free meat and a couple other things I think he can keep. I have to take all the drawers out and wash all the mold out of them because there's mold in them. And I never used those drawers once I realized there was mold in them. I was like, I'm not putting shit in those drawers. Cleaned all of the shelves, did the whole 9. I put the cage-free meat back. I put my stuff in. And then, after like 3 hours of being in the house, I could finally start unpacking my car. So I spend the next 2 hours unpacking my car into Z's room, essentially, because I have no other place to go. So I'm like, okay, let's have some dinner because it's already dinner time. I got there at like 12 o'clock and it's already 7 o'clock by the time I'm done. Let's have some dinner, and then after I'll do the dishes. So I take one of my meals out, I eat the meal, in just silence, by the way, because there's nothing else in this house to do because I don't have the Wi-Fi password, and that's like the gatekeeper of anything to do. So I eat my meal in silence, I wash the dishes, and then the door opens. And here comes Drunk Caveman at 7 o'clock on a Sunday. He comes stumbling into the kitchen, and there's a guy with him. Now, let me describe Caveman. Caveman is like 6'4", probably 220 pounds, give or take.
He's a big guy.
And he's a ginger.
All right, simmer down.
I'm just bringing up facts about this story. And he's all excited to see me. But he's so drunk that his words barely make any sense. And he's talking about how he's been here all alone because his sister and his sister's boyfriend left him. By the way, there's just some random guy standing in the doorway. No clue. He didn't introduce him to me. And I'm just like, we gotta blur his name.
We'll blur that out.
We gotta blur that
We'll
name.
blurt that out.
So I'm like, all right, caveman, you're drunk. Like, just do your thing. So of course he goes for the cage-free meat first, and he cuts himself off a couple slices, and I bring up the hot dog thing. I'm like, dude, that's gross, and he laughs it off, and he bites a couple things into the cage-free meat, the sandwich he's made, and then he turns the cage-free meat around, and I never turned the cage-free meat around,
Because he wouldn't touch
but
it.
the whole other side is riddled in mold.
Oh!
It's like a corpse. That's what it reminds me of. It's like a zombie show corpse.
Oh.
Sitting in the fridge.
And sitting in the
Oh.
fridge.
Oh.
And he's like, "Hey, is this good to eat?" And I said, "No, caveman, you should throw that out." He's like, "Okay." And he goes and throws it out, and then he makes a peanut butter and jelly. But he takes 2 knives to make the peanut butter and jelly, right? He starts by scooping out peanut butter from his peanut butter jar, putting it on one bread, and then he takes another knife and scoops out jelly, puts it on another bread, and then puts both knives in to the peanut butter jar, not both. It leaves them on the counter, closes the sandwich, starts eating it, and walks away. And he was like, "Hey, this is my buddy. We're gonna go drinking again." I never saw that guy ever again. And I yelled at him and I said, "Caveman, what are you doing with these knives? You got to put your stuff away." And he comes back and he's like, "Okay, I got it." And he pulls both the knives out, chucks them into the sink, and then puts his uncapped jelly and peanut butter into his cabinet, and he leaves.
Ugh.
And then I'm sitting there, 2 knives in the sink, and I've realized that this has been the biggest mistake in my life. And that's the end of Cage Free Meat. That's the end of Cage Free Meat Part 2.
Max.
Yeah.
I don't even know words, dude. This guy, I've met some shitty people in my life, but people that do not respect themselves, their surroundings, and the people in immediate contact with them like that, for the sake of, I mean, he, like, would you describe him as, like, he was never mean to you or anything, right? Like,
In high school, he was.
yeah, but, like, now, like, in flash forward, in college times, like, there was no, was
College
there
times?
animosity between you? Or, like, was he just this way
Yeah,
because
there was-
of who he was?
There was times when his dad said that I should have been his kid,
That's really,
and there was,
that's really weird.
and I think that caused a lot of animosity between us.
That's incredibly weird.
Yes,
That's I can't
very
even put
weird.
into words how bizarre that is for him to say.
I don't want to get into the story of when he tells me that because that's like towards the very end.
That's another
And
addition.
I want to save that because the intro to the caveman's dad is amazing. Amazing. By the way, this is day 1.
This is like within the first 12 hours.
This is in the first 12 hours of living with this guy for 32 weeks.
Oh my.
And we're going to glance over. I think the next episode we're going to talk about the lights and the student loan and pill problem.
My God.
And it is epic.
Is that the word you would use to describe it?
Yeah, like now that I'm looking back on it, it's like a great story piece. Like there's always something to talk about by the caveman. Because I totally forgot about the maggots in the trash can until I brought it up. Me and Z actually had to sacrifice a broom because the trash bag had been in there for so long that it was stuck to the bottom. And when the trash mans were coming, because he never put the trash out, ever. So when the trash man would come, there was never any trash to take out. So they would never take the can. Well, when we put the trash out, eventually once we realized he never put it out, that trash bag had been sitting in there in the summer for 2 months. And it had fused to the bottom of the can.
Oh.
And we had to use a broom to pry it off the bottom. And then we had to wash it out with the hose to get the maggots out. And there was still I think there's still maggots in that trash can today.
My God.
delete this, nephew.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting that idea, man.
And that was day one.
Max, you have told us some brutal stories today.
Yeah, this was a brutal story.
I feel bad for you, man. Like
No, because
truly.
100 bad days make 100 good stories.
Oh, that's really good.
That's from a song. That's from a pop song I've been listening to recently.
All right.
So I think it's about time for the ending bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much more I can endure talking about rotted meat and caveman behavior.
So you know the tradition. We always say something we learn, and we always go through the SAM alphabet, which is S.A.M. So let's start with Sam. What did you learn today, Sam?
All right, I've learned a lot about Max today. I could talk about Max's ability to say no, but I think I'll talk about a lesson that Max taught me, and that's to always make sure if you're moving on people, you are the one who controls the Wi-Fi.
Ooh,
Damn, that's a good
well
one.
said.
AJ?
What did I learn? I probably learned more about you today, Max, in any period of time than any other period of time in the past. So, if I had to pick one thing, I would say I learned that you. I don't know. You suffered torture, the likes of which most humans don't get to see in their lifetime.
It's because I didn't have beer goggles the whole time. I could see it clearly. You guys probably went through similar things, but you had things to look forward to.
Anyway, Max, what did you learn today, man?
I learned that AJ's friend can make legal lean. Thank you. Have a good night.